Okay, so now that you have any number of Sony cameras to choose from, well, here's one more, the Sony FX30. So who is this camera for? Am I gonna pick it or skip it? And I have one unexpected, let's say controversial reason why I might pass on the FX30 for this other future camera. So again, who is this camera for? You? Me? Well, maybe. Well, for me, I have the Sony ZV-1, the Sony A7Cii, which I'm filming on right now, and the big brother, the Sony FX3, and I had the Sony A7 IV briefly. So the question is, where does this camera fit in? Should we just throw away our old cameras, our old haggard, antiquated pieces of technology from that bygone era where in my day, the early 2022s, when you needed an FX6 at least if you wanted a legit cinema camera. But now any kid off the street can pick up a budget Netflix approved camera. So should you toss your dusty 2-year-old camera away for this bright, shiny new baby on the block, the Sony FX30, which on the surface just seems like a cheaper one of these, but is it? Should you upgrade ASAP to this APS-C beast and step down from your fully framed, perfectly now boring to this one-of-a-kind crop-censored cinema camera with all these amazing lens options and comparatively amazingly cheap APS-C lens choices to complement this killer new 26 megapixel sensor within this rugged little tank of a Sony cinebody. So you can throw this thing on a gimbal or mount it on a car or throw it off a bridge or do whatever you want with it. But the big question is, did I just waste $2,000 extra on the FX3 when I could have saved all that cash with arguably an equally as great camera? Should you upgrade or side grade or laterally, slightly diagonally grade? Yet what would be a clear upgrade is if you already have an APS-C camera and a collection of lenses. So say you're rocking, let's say the A6400 or a brand new ZV-10 and you're loving the form factor, but you want to up your camera game, go more pro than zoomer and get that 10-bit color, 4K 120, almost no rolling shutter, no overheating, and you'll be the talk of the town or some Facebook or Reddit group for 15 minutes. But if you're making money with your camera as a wedding or real estate shooter, you'll probably be making a sound investment. Again, still as an investment, is it a worthy upgrade? Would most of your clients recognize the 10-bit over the 8-bit or the 4K 120 over the 1080 120? Well, that's a more difficult question, potted with landmines as everybody's needs are different and everyone's starting points will be unique. And you know how YouTube loves nuanced opinions, right? So I can say both yes and no. But if you need a definitive answer, well, if it's me, and I've got the ZV-1 and the A7Cii and the FX3, do I need to rob a liquor store or trade in my FX3 for the FX30? Knowing that I do have some APS-C lenses already, and I could buy a bunch more with what I would be saving, including that new trio of fast wide lenses from Sony. But the answer for me with what I have now is no. Now, if I had an APS-C camera already, even a Fuji, Canon, or Nikon, would I upgrade to this? Well, probably. I think this is the interesting part as Sony is once again tactically cornering and killing the video market by now making a legit APS-C cinema camera that might also get Netflix approval for whatever that's worth. But other than Sony, if I was gonna go APS-C, it wouldn't be with Canon anymore and likely not Nikon. So I'd probably easily go with Fuji, and the X-T5 coming right around the corner was about to rule the game for APS-C cameras. And Sony was like, no, we make y'all sensors, so why don't we just slap this new guy in this body and rain on Fuji's parade? But really, the Sony FX30 with its improved IBIS, killer codec, flawless autofocus, 10-bit 4K 120, and this sexy form factor, I think if I was an APS-C guy and my budget was at that price point, and I outgrew the ZV-E10 already, or even had a Fuji X-T3 or X-T4, I'd upgrade. But there's still something missing. Now, a while back, I made a video just like this where I said I would be passing on the A7 IV for another camera. And well, we still don't have that camera. But in the meantime, I have absolutely loved my Sony A7Cii, the form factor, the quality, the ease of use. And if you've seen any of my other videos, I talk endlessly about how much I love this camera for traveling or street photography or as a studio camera like you're looking at now. And then, since its predecessor still hadn't come out, I had the opportunity to purchase both the A7 IV and the FX3, but I could only keep one. And I had been longing for the FX3 for a while, but when both were out of stock everywhere, I decided to pick up just whichever one would allow me to buy it first. So one morning, miraculously, I was able to nab the A7 IV. And then literally 2 hours later, I get an alert that I can buy the FX3. So I had both, but again, I could only pick one. And it was surprisingly not an easy choice, even though I'd been dreaming of the FX3 for so long. So the image coming out of both amazing in low light, both 10-bit colors with S-Cinetone and S-Log3 looked almost identical, but the edge went to the A7 IV for me as it was a downsampled 7K image, much sharper with added features and breathing compensation, a 33 megapixel sensor compared to the 12. Now the FX3 had 4K 120, no rolling shutter issues, a great top handle, and I love the compact form once this top handle's off. So for me, if I could have just put that 33 megapixel sensor in this body, that'd be an easy option, as I really don't care about the 4K 60 crop, or really not having 4K 120. So when I heard about this new FX30 with a new, not 33, but 26 megapixel APS-C sensor, a new Sony Cine camera, my ears perked up. And it will be tempting, but I still love my A7C, and for me, I'm going to skip the FX30 probably, and wait maybe another year for the A7C Mark II with that A7 IV sensor in a smaller body than this. For a reason, and here's the semi-controversial reason, I love this rangefinder style EVF, the electronic viewfinder, on my A7C, which is the most dunked on feature of this camera, but when given the option between an EVF, that I actually don't mind at all, and no EVF, I'm gonna go EVF all day. So that's why I'm gonna hold out for the A7C Mark II whenever that comes out and the camera gods smile down on us, and China stops locking down its factory workers, and America starts manufacturing more, and Canada stop doing whatever you're doing, and Norway with your beautiful fjords that I wanna fly my drone around and take my camera to, and yeah, Norway, stop doing that with all your come hither curves and all. But yeah, so what about you? Are you gonna upgrade? Do you already have the FX3? Or do you have an APS-C camera from Sony or someone else and you're seriously considering picking up the FX30? So comment below if you think this camera is actually something you're gonna cop, or if you're like me, you're just gonna wait for that new A7C Mark II whenever that comes out. All right, so thank you for your time and attention. I definitely think YouTube is right. You should watch this video next, as it's probably as dumb as this one. All right, thank you guys. Bye y'all.